Hi, I'm Donna Wilder.
And I'm Janie Donaldson. Welcome to Quilt Central. Today's show is packed with lots of quilting ideas.
You'll learn how to make a wall hanging using the churn dash block and a quilt with lots of hearts that were sprayed and fixed before stitching, which makes it a perfect project for a beginner.
And we'll share a great technique for customizing your fabric. So sit back and enjoy.
Quilt Central is made possible in part by Janome America, makers of sewing machines and sergers. Janome, because you simply love to sew.
APQS offers the Millennium and a full line of hand-guided quilting machines made in America's heartland for America's artisans.
Sylvia Design Sewing Furniture, designed just for you. JT Trading Corporation, stick with us. Electric Quilt Company. Paducah McCracken County Convention and Visitors Bureau. Additional funding was provided by these companies that care about quilting. Welcome to Quilt Central, celebrating quilting in everyday living, with your hosts, Jane Donaldson and Donna Wilder.
One of the popular quilting blocks is called the churn dash, and my guest today is going to show us a colorful wall hanging using that block. Joining me is our sewing expert, Maddie Bushman. Welcome, Maddie.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here today because I want to show you how easy it is to create this churn dash quilt block. It's so much fun. We are going to take and you do some quick piecing, like strip piecing, and assemble our little blocks together, and when we're finished, then we'll have completed our churn dash quilt block.
Great, let's get started.
Let's. First thing we want to do is we want to change to our 1/4 inch foot.
Okay.
You know that whenever we're quilting, we always want to make sure that we change to our 1/4 inch foot. And I have one right here in the accessory drawer. And we just snap it on.
That is so easy to do.
I know, I just love that. And then we want to go ahead and adjust our stitch length.
Okay.
You know that when we're quilting, most times we want to use 1.8, 1.5, depending on the machine. So we're going to go ahead and use 1.8.
Okay.
What we want to do is we want to first make this square.
Okay.
Which is a diagonal square, or what else were you saying that it's also
we call it a split square, or some call it a half square, so there are many different names for it.
And it depends on probably what part of the country you're in. Right. So what we want to do is we want to take our dark color and our light color, and we're going to put right sides together, okay, and then we're going to take a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So we're just going to, we already have adjusted the stitch length, and then we're just going to go ahead and sew. Now, one thing I always try to do when I first start out is make sure that I do the memorized needle down position.
Okay.
Because whenever I have to stop, because we do use pins. But just for demonstration purposes, we're just going to sew a little bit on this, and then we're going to take it out of the machine, needle up. Isn't that so nice?
Oh, it is.
And then we just lift it, cut our threads, and now what we're going to do is to show you, you can see that by sewing both sides, now you would turn this over and sew again from the same side so that both seams are going in the same direction.
Good.
Okay, then we're going to take our ruler, and what we want to do is end up with a 3.5 inch square.
Okay.
So we're going to line it up so that the 3.5 is on the seam, and then we're going to cut it. I usually try to move the fabric away whenever I'm done cutting it. Sometimes when you cut sideways like this, it takes just a little bit more
pressure on there, and it's an awkward angle there.
It is, but we will move right along. And you can see, now I will take this, and right now I'm just going to finger press it, but you would take this to the ironing board and you would press it. And you can see where we've already started to get our blocks going.
That's great.
Isn't that neat? Okay, so you can see how this one started. Okay, then we're going to take, what we take is another strip. We're going to take a 2.5-inch strip of the same blue, and then we use an 1.5-inch strip of the pink, of a contrast. We'd sew them together, again, right sides together, using your 1/4-inch seam allowance, okay, and we would cut them into 3.5-inch squares.
All right.
What we're doing is we're being consistent. Everything's going to be 3.5-inch squares. Now, see how this is coming?
Okay.
Isn't that neat?
It's great, and it makes it so simple to do that.
It certainly is. And you know what? Let's go ahead and just cut one more. We'll just turn it over just so that we can see that one row and give everybody an idea of how easy this is to put together, because after you've got all your pieces cut out, you would, of course, cut all your squares out before you start to sew, okay? I think that I probably should turn a little bit more so that I can get a better angle on the cutting. Definitely take this to the ironing board. Okay, so now we have our 3 pieces. See that? Isn't that beautiful? So what we would do is we would go ahead, 1/4-inch seam allowance, right sides together, and we would sew this one to this one, and then once you have the 2, then sew them to this one. And then you would continue the process until you have your entire churn dash done.
It's great. I love these quick and easy methods.
Isn't it
because
easy?
it really helps, particularly for beginners, because they can do them all so fast and get that piecing done.
I know. I love it. I love it. And let me give you one other tip on this for beginners especially, and sometimes for people that are advanced. Sometimes when I have a little bit of trouble here lining up points, I will use a dab of glue stick in the seam allowance and just pinch it together, and then I find that my seams match up perfectly and they don't push, because sometimes when you use a pin, when you take it out, it pushes and you've got just a little tiny bit out of the way.
Now, what are we going to do with this?
Now, what I'd like to do, you know that mostly this is done. But what I would like to do is just a little bit more quilting with it.
Let's get going.
Absolutely. What we need to do is we're going to change the thread, because what I want to do is I want to use monofilament thread in the upper position. Okay? And this is a real simple thing to do. We just change the thread. Now, to allow for the loft of the batting, what I'm going to also do is I'm going to adjust the presser foot pressure.
Okay.
I think that I need my bifocals sometimes, but being so vain, I oftentimes don't like to do that.
And you didn't need them.
Right.
Or did you?
Nope.
Ah, good.
Got away with it. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and use my open toe clear foot, but there are so many other options. You can use your rotary even feed foot, you can use your walking foot. So let's go ahead and adjust the presser foot pressure to a lower number.
Okay.
We're going to put this under here, and what I'm going to do is just go ahead and I'm going to stitch right where the pink and the blue meet. And I'm going to use my needle down position to start. That's exactly right. I'm going to stitch in the ditch. And with that open toe clear foot, you see how easily I can see that?
Everything right in front of you.
And the presser foot pressure has been reduced, and therefore my fabric is not pushing.
Well, that's great. Well, it's certainly a colorful project, and it looks wonderful, and I want to thank you for bringing it to us.
Thank you very much for having me.
I'd like to introduce to you today a friend of mine, Sherry Rogers. She's a Quilt Central Celebrity Long Arm Teacher. Welcome, Sherry.
Thank you, Janie.
She is famous for a class called Brainless Borders. But today she's brought some other things with her, and we're going to look at those. This piece here is a whole cloth, but it has shadow quilting.
Right,
tell us
this fabric here is placed behind the muslin, and it just shows through very subtly.
And what fabric is under there? What did you put under?
This fabric here on the binding. So
this piece along the edge is under there, and it just shows just a little color difference. Very beautiful.
Thank you.
That's a nice technique, shadow quilting. This one here, you did this one?
I did. This is a pre-printed whole cloth. And it looked real boring on my wall, so I put it in the wash with Rit dye, and it came out this lovely color.
You dye things too.
Yeah.
It is beautiful.
There was a little extra room here on the border, and I did this last year at 9/11, and so I just put the verse of God Bless America, just fit perfectly around the border.
It sure did. There's nothing more elegant than grids and feathers combined.
Very traditional.
And this piece,
Speaking of tradition,
you must have done this one on a good day.
this was fun. I had a lot of fun with this. This is 22 different threads, and I was anxious to try them all, and this was the perfect opportunity.
This border is so beautiful because I see that you ran a dark thread underneath and you let it come up to the top just a little, and it spaced out the stitches so that it looks like hand quilting.
It's a nice effect.
A different technique yet. And it has some beautiful crystals on it.
Those are fun.
Just a beautiful piece. And this is a sampler?
This is a sampler. This is a class that I teach. I use a lot of rulers and templates in my quilting, and I can show you 15 different ways to use a clamshell. So this is kind of what I do here, and I'm going to demonstrate a few of those for you today.
That would be great. I see this one here, and I've never seen that done before.
That's kind of fun.
It's like a half circle or a little more, and then embellished with freehand feathers on the inside.
So it gives you, by using rulers and templates, you've got your nice consistent baseline, and then you can go in and freehand from there.
And this one is...
That's a new ruler that I developed, chicken wire.
That kind of looks like chicken wire, or a little bit Japanese.
Sometimes you could use that for sashiko.
It sure does. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
I'd love to see you try some of these because I'd like to see how that's done.
Let's do it. First, we're going to have to install a base on the machine, Janie, and this is just going to take a second. This is the Extend-A-Base, and it's custom fit to fit most of the major machines that are out there. It just slides on, and we're going to tighten up this clamp here.
It gives a little more support when you're pressing on the fabric with a ruler or a guide. It'll give you a little tabletop under there to work with.
Exactly.
And these are the guides you like to use.
We're going to start here with the chicken wire.
Okay.
And we'll work over here in this area, and I'm just going to find kind of center this, you know, in the area that you have to work in, and that looks pretty good there. I'm just going to follow the shape of the ruler. It's going to set me up for my first row. This is probably the most difficult. It's just that first base row.
You're really steady with that.
Once you have that done, you can flip this over and
go right down to the ruler. Follow it again.
This way you're working with the ruler in front of you this time. And
I see you move your hands along.
You do. You want to walk along the length of the ruler. Do a little adjusting there.
It matches really well.
It does. And then I would offset it, come down again, and just go as far as I need it to go to fill up a block or a sashing or a border.
It wouldn't take you too long to get a border filled in, would it?
It certainly wouldn't. Just once you get the hang of it, it takes, you know, 5 minutes maybe to do a whole 12-inch block. It's real fast.
Certainly does look like chicken wire fence.
Yes.
I'll give the quilter something to crow about.
There you go, Janie.
You do just wonderful work.
Thank you.
And I thank you very much for coming and showing us your techniques.
It was my pleasure.
Have you ever wanted to create your own fabric? My guest today is going to show us a quick way to do that. Joining me is Lynn Damelio. Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Donna. It's nice to be here.
What are we going to work on today?
Well, we're going to use our foam decorative stamps, which are a sponge kind of a stamp, and we're going to apply acrylic paints mixed with textile medium to the stamp, and we're going to create our fabric squares to make pillows.
This is great. I love the colors that you've used.
Isn't that fun? And it's really easy to do. What you want to start with is just pour out some acrylic paint. You're going to mix it with your textile medium. It's a 2-to-1 mixture, and you're going to apply it directly onto the foam stamp with a cosmetic sponge.
I wondered how you did that.
And you just pat it on. You don't want to put too much paint on there. You will immediately turn it over and stamp it onto the fabric. And you're just going to want to press with your fingertips to make sure you get good application.
Isn't that nice?
Then you reapply quickly. You can go as fast as you'd like and put more paint on it with each application and go ahead and do it again.
So you can really create any design that you want.
You sure can. There are so many stamps on the market available, and they come in fun, whimsical, decorative, formal, anything that you would like.
Now that's a single color. Are we going to do 2-color?
Yes, you can apply several different colors right to the stamp and blend them right on the stamp and then stamp them. Let's show you how to do that. Put the purple back on the rose, just like we had it. And then we can apply some highlights. Well, actually, I'm going to put the green on the leaves, and then I'm going to highlight the leaves with a darker green.
And you have to keep using different sponges for each color.
For each color, keep those separate, and you won't have any problems.
It looks like anybody could do this.
And so you would just turn that over and stamp it onto the fabric, like we have on the other pillow over here. And then when you lift that off, you've got the color gradation right on the stamp, and you've done it all in one process.
Oh, that's great.
At the same time.
Now, is it permanent?
The paint becomes permanent by adding the textile medium. And like I said, the instructions are on the bottle, and it's a 2-to-1 mixture with 2 parts paint and 1 part textile medium. You would then heat set this when it's dry on the back with an iron, and then about 7 days it cures. Then you can wash it, you can dry it, you can launder it, and it's totally permanent.
That's great. Now, how long will it usually take to dry?
As you can see, this is almost dry. It dries that quickly.
Oh my goodness,
this is acrylic paint, one of the fastest drying paints there is. So, you know, in a matter of an hour, you can complete an entire project.
Another one of those little designs and see what we can.
You can see how we put the little sprigs on this one. And to do the pattern that we have on the pillow, we would just take this little flower and we're going to mix it. You might not think that this stamp goes with the little sprigs, but go ahead and just intersperse the stamps, and you really come up with some really fun designs. So you can mix and match the stamps. You can put different colors in here if you'd like. It's really fun to put light color on dark fabric too. It works really well.
I want to thank you for bringing this fabric idea to us.
Yeah, it's a wonderful idea. You should try it.
Thanks, Lynn. You know, hearts aren't just for Valentine's Day, and my guest is going to show us how to use them in a quilt. Joining me is Jennifer O'Brien. Welcome, Jennifer.
Well, thank you, Donna. Thank you for having me here at Quilt Central. I'm really excited to be here.
Well, I know you've brought a great project, so let's take a look at it and tell me a little bit about it.
Oh, great. This is my Lots of Hearts quilt, and as you can see, it has lots of hearts and lots of fabric, lots of different fabrics. You can use traditional, contemporary, cutesy things. It just works with anything that you'd like.
And you know, what quilter doesn't have a bag full of all these little tiny scraps, and it's great for that.
That's right. It's great for your stash. You can pull out of your stash. You can do a swap. You can do a charm quilt. It's wonderful for any of those types of fabric choices.
Well, let's show them how simple it is to do it.
Great, and that it is. First, you just pick out your heart pattern. I like a very traditional heart, so it's even. I trace it on a tracing paper and then just cut it out so that I have a heart.
Good. And you can do that real easily by folding your paper in half and just drawing.
That's right, or just cut it freehand. It doesn't have to be a perfect heart.
That's the fun of it, because there isn't an exact thing to it.
Right.
Now you're spraying the template.
Right, instead of pinning, just because this is a permanently repositionable spray.
Okay.
And see, it just makes it a little bit tacky.
Oh, yes.
And then all you have to do is take your fabric choices, put it down, and just stick your heart in place. And then you can just stitch around it. When you're ready, you peel it up. See, there's no stickiness. You go to the next one. You stitch around the next.
Are we stitching or cutting? Cutting around. Okay.
Cutting around the next one. And then you just keep doing that until all your fabric, you can do it over and over and over.
It won't matter how many different fabrics you put.
No, not at all.
The sticky will stay on long enough to cut them all out.
Right. You can do 50 of them. If it gets a little bit of lint, you may then want to spray again, but you don't have to.
Okay.
It's very easy to work with that way.
That's great. Now you've got all of the hearts cut.
That's right. Now we have all of the hearts cut.
Let's see, get this paper out of here.
Yes.
Move that over there, and let's open this up because this is where the fun really begins. And you can just, you've sewn all these squares together?
Exactly. They're 6-inch squares, so they're very easy to sew together. And with this, you've just light and dark. That's how I decided the best way. That's the only organized thing about this is that you start with dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, so that you have it alternating.
Then do you try to put a light heart on a dark and kind of keep it that way too?
You can, but it really doesn't matter. Once you have the light dark background, that kind of ties it all together. So it's very simple to work with. Now what we're doing is we're going to change to a fabric-friendly spray, a basting spray, and we just make a very light spray on the hearts.
And is this a permanent spray? Or
no, this one will release with the wash so that you don't even know that you've used a spray, but it will hold it for the time when you want. And if you get a ripple in it that you don't like, so you can just pull it up. And what's nice is you don't have any stickiness where it was.
That's great.
So you can just
and if you decide you don't like the color there, you can move it.
Exactly.
Let's put a few more of those here. I'll help you there.
Oh, that would be super.
All right.
So it's simple.
And you can spray several at one time or one each time, and do you have to cover the whole area?
You don't have to cover the whole area. Not at all. Exactly. It's really a nice project so that you can be creative, and it's great for kids if you want to work with children with your projects because they just help you cut everything out. They can stick down their pattern and they can stick it in place.
Then once you've gotten that all down, you would then do your machine stitching around there to create the decorative stitches.
So that's what I really liked about this. If you have a straight stitch, you can do it with a straight stitch. If you have a zigzag, you can do it with a zigzag. If you have decorative stitches that many people don't use, you can play with them all, use them all on the raw edges.
You pick that up, we'll move this out, and we'll show them how we finish up this project.
Perfect.
Okay, we bring out the batting. And what are you using here? Is this?
This is a nice wool batting because this is going to
very thin and nice.
It's going to be a baby quilt, so I wanted something lightweight. It's Australian batting, so it's a wool, very good quality wool. And we're just going to baste it. And I spray baste because when I machine quilt, I don't want anything to move, and I don't want my designs to be hampered.
So let's spray baste that and show.
We just go very lightly
across there,
and see. It's just a very tacky.
And then you would do that on the whole thing and then pull it up and you're ready at that point to finish up the piece. Not only is it lots of hearts, but it's lots of fun. And thank you for bringing it to us today, Jennifer.
Oh, thank you very much, Donna. I've really enjoyed my stay here at Quilt Central. It's been a lot of fun.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi.
This has been a great project.
You know, this is something I think your boys would really enjoy doing.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us with this episode of Quilt Central. I hope you have gotten a lot of ideas for projects. And join us next time when we have dueling quilters.
Quilt around the clock. Visit the Quilt Central website at www.quiltcentraltv.com for more information on this program. Quilt Central is made possible in part by Janome America, makers of sewing machines and sergers. Janome, because you simply love to sew.
APQS offers the Millennium and a full line of hand-guided quilting machines made in America's heartland for America's artisans.
Sylvia Design Sewing Furniture, designed just for you. JT Trading Corporation, stick with us. Electric Quilt Company. Paducah McCracken County Convention and Visitors Bureau. Additional funding was provided by these companies that care about quilting. Celebrate quilting in your everyday living. To purchase videotapes of this or any episode of Quilt Central, you may call toll-free at 1-866-PADUCAH.